Rooted in the love of Christ, we welcome each one here today. We welcome your mind, your body, and spirit. We welcome your faith and your doubts, your joys and your sorrows. Wherever you come from, whatever your age, whomever you love, whoever you are welcome and affirmed here. Good morning, church. Welcome to worship on this first Sunday in October. It's World Communion Sunday, a day to remember our connection with Christians around the world, to receive nourishment at Christ's table, and to celebrate the living presence of Jesus among us. It's a fitting day to begin our time without a full-time pastor, a day to remember that our small group of Christ followers is not alone. On this day around the world, people are gathering for worship and fellowship in their homes, in cathedrals, on Zoom, openly and in secret, accompanied by organs or drums or pianos. As we imagine all these people streaming to their gathering places, let's listen to the words of one of the Psalms of Ascent, the ancient songs that the Israelites sang as they walked to the temple in Jerusalem. This is Psalm 130. Out of the depths I cry to you, Lord. Lord, hear my voice. Let your ears be attentive to my cry for mercy. If you, Lord, kept a record of sins, Lord, who could stand? But with you there is forgiveness, so that we can, with reverence, serve you. I wait for the Lord. My whole being waits, and in his word I put my hope. I wait for the Lord, more than watchmen wait for the morning. More than watchmen wait for the morning. Israel, put your hope in the Lord. UMC, put your hope in the Lord, for with the Lord is unfailing love, and with him is full redemption. As I light our peace lamp this morning, as we have ever since war began in Iraq, I lift up the land and the people who gave voice first to these Psalms of Ascent, the land and people of the divided city of Jerusalem, and the land and people around it. For the Israelis and Gazans who long for peace, I offer the words of this other Psalm of Ascent as a prayer, Psalm 122. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May they prosper who love you. Peace be within your walls and security within your towers. For the sake of my relatives and friends, I will say, peace be within you. For the sake of the house of the Lord our God, I will seek your good. And now it's time for us to join in our own songs of ascent with Evelyn. Beginning with number 22, What is this place?
Please stand if you're able and turn to number 22. Number 39. As we rise, O God, to meet you.
Thank you, Evelyn. It's a delight to hear your voice up here again. We don't get to see you much at the front, and so it's really a joy. Thank you. One of the blessings of a time when we are without a full-time pastor is that we are compelled to hear the voices of those who maybe we don't hear as often as we fill in the spaces that are left for preaching and for speaking and sharing. So we're beginning a new series today called Heartstrings, What Are We Passionate About? To allow some new voices to be heard among us. We're hoping next week to be able to hear from Carl Keener. He's another voice that we haven't heard from recently, but we're excited to hear from him. And we're opening today with sharing from Doug McPherson, who unfortunately can't be here, but will be sharing his words. His This I Believe is titled, I Believe in Inclusion, and the children's time today is a lead-in to his words. So children, come and see, come and see. I am the way, the truth, say, follow me, follow me. Come as the child, come and see. Come and see, come and see. I am the
But a good picture is also meant for bigger kids and adults. And this is a good picture. Is this one, Jonas, is this one that you've been had at home? No, because I was afraid that your mom read this for you. Your mom's voice is so good. And you've read it to them at home, and oh my goodness. Okay. But first questions for the bigger kids with the harder words. What does the word plaid mean? Plaid. It's a weird word. It even sounds weird. Yes. Yes. Checkers and crisscrosses. Check it out, plaid shirt. And the book we're reading is Annie's plaid shirt. Okay, another word, unconditional. Unconditional. Timo, what do you think? Yeah? You didn't. I'm raising it for you. I asked you because you always have a good answer, that's why. Not quite. What do you think? Anybody? That's a condition. So it is unconditional is without any conditions, without any expectations, without any asking for something in return. And the most important lesson in the Bible is unconditional love. God loves us unconditionally. Your parents love you unconditionally. And I hope that they're telling you this on a very regular basis. But it doesn't mean they're always happy with your behavior or your choices or your actions, which means that it's kind of a responsibility for you to live up to unconditional love, because you have to try to love them or to behave in a way that is worthy of their unconditional love. So this is a book called Annie's Plaid Shirt. What is it about? It's about a young person who does not like to wear dresses. They like to look good, and they like to dress up fine, but they do not like to wear dresses. And there's two reasons I chose this. Because we have a child, Otis, who did not like to wear dresses and does not like to wear dresses. And because there's a really silly cat in this book. Okay? So do we have the pictures up on the screen? Good. Annie loved her plaid shirt. She went to school in her plaid shirt. Wait, first cat picture. So Otis was very much like Annie, but our cat was a little better behaved than this one. So she went to school in her plaid shirt. She went to parties in her plaid shirt, and obviously had a lot of fun at them. But not in a dress, in her plaid shirt. She painted in her plaid shirt. Annie did everything in her plaid shirt. But one day Annie's mom said, let's go to the mall. Tomorrow is Uncle Benny's wedding. Your brother needs a new suit, and you need a new dress, a nice dress. I'll be wearing my plaid shirt, said Annie. And look at the cat. It's up to something. Probably not anything good. Oh no, Mom said. It looks like an old tablecloth. You must wear a dress to the wedding. Absolutely not, said Annie. I'm wearing my plaid shirt. We'll see, she said. Now look what the cat's doing. Stealing cookies. At the mall, Mom bought Albert a new suit. Annie, she said, will you at least try on some dresses for me? Maybe you'll find one that you like. Yes, replied Annie. Please, just one time. Okay, fine, Annie pouted, if I have to. She does not look happy. Annie does not look happy. They tried on lots of dresses. Look at her body language. What does it say? Not happy. I don't like this. But they all felt wrong. Please, Mom begged, just one more. Annie saw the hopeful look in her mom's face. She agreed to try on just one more. It's perfect, said Mom. You looked so beautiful. She does look beautiful, but what? She does not look happy. When they arrived home, Annie ran to her room and slammed the door. Look at the cat. What's the cat's tail doing? Little piece of advice, don't ever touch a cat with a tail like that. They'll quickly show you their sharp parts. She wished her mom understood her. Annie felt weird in dresses. She was happiest when she wore her plaid shirt. Why couldn't her mom see that? She's still not happy because the wedding is tomorrow. Why can't Annie wear what she wants to? Asked Albert. I want Annie to be herself, but I'm worried about what other people will think, Mom said. Little girls always wear dresses to weddings. True or false? I don't think so. Thank you, Lita. The next morning, they all rushed to get ready for the wedding. Annie frowned at the dress, and then she had an idea. It looks like the cat is trying to ruin the dress, which cats do. Mom wondered what was taking the kids so long. She started to worry. I should have let Annie wear her plaid shirt, she thought, but it was too late. Come on, kids, she called. We have to leave now. Annie and Albert giggled and yelled, we'll be right there. Oh, this one come up? Good. Well, said Annie, what do you think? It's perfect, said Mom. You look so beautiful. Of course, said Annie. I'm wearing my plaid shirt. So Annie decided not to wear the dress, but to work the plaid shirt. Where do you think she got the suit? This was a question for us when we read this book. That's it. Fill the plot hole. The brother's old suit fit Annie just fine. And do we have this picture at the end? That's okay. We read this book today to show, I have one more picture, and this is of, well, first of all, we went to a wedding when we were little, and Otis was supposed to be the ring bearer, and tried on dresses at the mall just like this. Absolutely not, and ended up being the ring bearer, looking just fine in a pair of pants. And when we got later into high school, they decided to go to prom, but would not wear the chiffon and taffeta and pastel colors. Instead, wanted to wear a suit to prom. And looking very fine. It's not about not looking good, it's about wearing what you're comfortable in. So, I think before we say a little prayer, I would like all of you guys to stand up and face this way and say hi to Doug, who is on Zoom today as Julie. And we should say hi to him because he's sick in the hospital and not feeling well at all. So, how about on 3? 1, 2, 3. Hi, Doug. Hi, Julie. All right, let's have a little prayer. God bless these children. God bless the words that Doug, Julie has prepared for us and that Ben will read. Thank you so much for unconditional love, and let us try all the time to be worthy of that love, of God's love. Amen. Thank you, guys.
Yes, and thank you, Jim. This is a story that has been meaningful to Doug, and one that he wanted read before this, I believe, before his sharing today. And we are very sad, Doug, that you are not here with us. Early in the week, I got a message saying, hey, I'm not sure if I'm going to make it. I got COVID. And then later in the week, hey, I'm in the hospital now due to my COVID, and they're not letting me go. So, Doug, we wish you were here, but we will share your words. And so listen to these words as if Doug were here with us in person. You all know me as Doug. Many of you also know me as Julie. That aspect of me is accepted and affirmed here. In other places, not so much. The area where I had the most trouble finding acceptance was me accepting who I am. The fancy term for this is internalized transphobia. For as long as I remember, there's been a female aspect of me. She's tried her best to be unobtrusive, but she was always there. That made growing up supposedly male interesting. I never really fit in anywhere. I did not think about what this might mean. The idea of transgender was not discussed in those days. Fast forward a lot of years to 1985. I went out to a rural craft shop and brought myself a Raggedy Ann. I told myself I needed her for the decor in my guest bedroom. Guess what? I was lying to myself. I did not want to grapple with the idea some part of me really wanted a Raggedy Ann. The lady who sold her to me speculated that she was for a special little girl, and there was more truth in this than I wanted to acknowledge. Deep inside of me is a 4-year-old girl. I use the name Girly Girl for her. She's an internal part of me. She's one of the main parts of my internal family system. I know that now. I couldn't even think that in 1985, much less accept it. 10 years later, in 1995, a different part of me wanted to start using the name Julie. That got immediately swept under the rug with everything else I've mentioned here. But all these things were there, much like a terrified elephant cowering under a skimpy rug. I was not going to think about any of it, much less consider what it might mean. Transgender people were seen as very strange, or worse. I was deeply involved in a church that not only would it not accept me, but that saw identifying any aspect of LGBTQ+ as deeply sinful. And of course, identifying as transgender was worst of all. Gender dysphoria does not go away with time. Rather, it grows more and more intense as time passes. By 2013, I could bottle all this up no more. The first person I tried to discuss this with acted like I was a bit more than slightly radioactive. Later, that person became an ally. The church I attended at the time had softened its position on LGBTQ+ people and had quite a few in attendance. I sort of fit for a while. Some of the spiritual advice I received was helpful. But as time went on, it became anything but helpful. The question of transition came up, i.e., should I become Julie full-time? The part of me that had suffered the slings and arrows of being the face of me the world sees was sort of in favor of transition. This is a part that does not identify as being either accepted gender, so presenting male was faking it. They hoped that with transition, one of the female parts would step up and be the face the world sees. At least then the presentation would not be utterly fake. Eventually, one of the female parts tried to be the face, after the part that had been the face went on strike. She made it one day, or most of one day, before she was stomped into the mud so badly it took her months to recover. All the other female parts had seen for years how the world treats the part of me that is the face the world sees. They would not touch this task. Eventually, a coalition of strong parts agreed to carry the part that had been the face the world sees. This leaves me as non-binary. Being non-binary and not presenting in a distracting manner, I do not clash. If I just sit down and shut up, nobody knows my gender identity. I can sort of fit in anywhere if I would just deny who I am. The church I attended morphed into the most anti-LGBTQ+ church in the area. Just quietly blending in was no longer good enough. If I would not renounce my gender identity, I was seen as the ultimate pariah. Finally, I could handle no more and felt compelled to leave. Girly Girl was part of the picture deep inside all this time. She agreed to leave the church that could no longer be a spiritual home. But her connection was directly with God and not any church. So she pushed to find another church that could be a spiritual home for all of me. I left the first church one Sunday and showed up here at UMC the next. The statistic that tears at my heart is that 1/2 of transgender people start in youth with some sort of Christian background. When they start to appear to be different, they're driven out by Christians. About 1/3 are explicitly told to get out. The rest are left to read between the lines. If it were not for Girly Girl, I would be part of that second group. Girly girl is a major part. There is no if she were not there. I believe in inclusion.
The oracle that the prophet Habakkuk saw. O Lord, how long shall I cry for help, and you will not listen? Or cry to you, violence, and you will not save? Why do you make me see wrongdoing and look at trouble? Destruction and violence are before me. Strife and contention arise. So the law becomes slack, and justice never prevails. The wicked surround the righteous. Therefore, judgment comes forth perverted. I will stand at my watchpost and station myself on the rampart. I will keep watch to see what he will say to me and what he will answer concerning my complaint. Then the Lord answered me and said, write the vision, make it plain on tablets, so that a runner may read it. For there is still a vision for the appointed time. It speaks of the end and does not lie. If it seems to tarry, wait for it. It will surely come. It will not delay. Look at the proud. Their spirit is not right in them. But the righteous live by their faithfulness.
Thank you, Micah. Bethany shared as our service began that we're exploring UMC Heartstrings this month. What exactly are we passionate about together? Well, we've already heard from Bethany. We've sung our passions together with Evelyn and Meredith. We've reflected on family and identity with Jim and Doug's words. And here, I hope that I can offer a sermon message from my own heartstrings. I mentioned to Bethany earlier this week that I had chosen to center my sermon in the Old Testament lectionary for this week in the book of Habakkuk. And she chuckled and reminded me that during a recent Sunday school time, Ruth Kitchen-Tillman said that none of us really know what Habakkuk says, which is probably true, even for those of us with some biblical training. So perhaps we start there. Perhaps we start with an intro to what this book actually is. So it's a short book. It's one of those tricky ones that are hard to find as you're scrolling through the Bible pages. It's part of what gets categorized as prophetic, and poor Habakkuk gets subcategorized as a minor prophet. On top of that, almost nothing is known about the person of Habakkuk, other than what is found in these few verses in the Hebrew Bible. But don't write off his words so quickly. His writings are claimed as sacred by Judaism, of course, the Hebrew Bible. They're claimed by those of us in the Christian tradition. Islam thinks that he is a prophet pointing to their tradition. And even Rastafarianism holds Habakkuk in high regard. Prophetic texts were written to speak truth or warning to people of a specific time. In Habakkuk's case, around 600 BCE. But the unique thing about the good prophetic voice is that it has lasting wisdom that gets to carry on through generations. Habakkuk grapples with questions of justice and human suffering. And it opens with a lament to God, questioning why evil and injustice continue without any divine intervention. God responds in the pages, revealing that the ruthless Babylonians will be used to punish Judah. And this really bothers Habakkuk, who then struggles with this paradox of God using unrighteous people to execute justice. The tiny book wraps up with God's assurance that ultimately justice will prevail when the righteous live out their faith. The text ends with Habakkuk's powerful prayer of faith despite ongoing turmoil. Some scholars believe that the final chapter is in fact a song. It's something we should be singing out loud with a hopeful conclusion after his previous laments. Habakkuk, like us, wrestled with the injustice of his day. He witnessed the suffering of innocent people. He questioned what seemed like silence from God, How long, O Lord, must I call for help, but you do not listen? Why do you make me look at injustice? Why do you tolerate wrongdoing? Does that sound familiar? Have any of you said things along those lines in the last few years? In our own time, we see a world grappling with systems that continue to perpetuate inequality, where marginalized folks often bear the brunt of hatred and discrimination. For the migrant, for the chronically ill or impoverished, for our LGBTQ siblings, for those with skin that's not classified as white. The struggle for full recognition, for safety, for love without reservation is an ongoing battle. And at this moment, we see legislative attacks, increased hate speech, and the very real fear that acceptance is fleeting. It feels at times as if the tide is turning against progress, turning against what we thought of as God's justice. And it's exhausting. So this week I spent some time thinking about the concept of an extinction burst. Maybe some of you have heard of this before. It's a concept borrowed from psychology that describes the phenomenon where a behavior, when it's about to be extinguished, flares up intensely one final time. Think about a child throwing a temper tantrum when they realize their usual tactic is no longer going to work. Or a dying star burning brighter than ever before its final collapse. And we see this throughout American history, that when our society starts to turn towards a more inclusive or a more just reality, there's one final resistant push that feels even stronger than the movement that it comes from. The end of the Civil War gave birth to organizations like the United Daughters of the Confederacy. It boosted participation in the KKK. The 19th Amendment, which granted women the right to vote, caused a strong backlash from traditionalists who were fearing a breakdown of family structures and power systems. Our increasing national diversity and our first black and biracial president led to the alt-right and a renewed modern white supremacy movement. Years and years of advocacy for the LGBT people has led to national efforts now to strip rights and to vilify that same group of people. I think I've shared this story before, anecdotally, but during my time as a campus pastor at Penn State, I helped usher in the very first LGBT Christian group. It was called Receiving with Thanksgiving. And I remember going into the LGBT Student Center and hearing from the director that the creation of Receiving with Thanksgiving had led to a significant rise in the amount of Christian groups who started pushing conversion therapy and verbalizing God's wrath in public again against those with certain lifestyles. With a grimace, he told me that Christian inclusion signaled a turning point that required those who were not yet there to dig in even deeper. It's ironic, he told me, but your work at inclusion has increased resistance, no doubt, as one final effort to push back against the turning tide. You've made our work harder, Ben. Thanks for being inclusive. Does that feel any closer to Habakkuk? How long, O Lord, must I call for help, but you do not listen? But rather than focusing on resistance to turning tides, what if we take a look and see these things as a sign of significant change that's almost here, but not quite yet? What if we see that this intense backlash that we are seeing in the daily news each day is actually a sign of a turning tide, a signal of sorts, signs of a desperate final surge of resistance from systems and ideologies that are in fact losing their ground, losing their power. Habakkuk, after his lament, waits for God's reply, and in chapter 2, he receives it. Write down the revelation and make it plain on tablets. The revelation awaits an appointed time. Though it will linger, wait for it. It will certainly come. It will not delay. And then this powerful declaration, the righteous will live by their faithfulness. Habakkuk's prophetic words are not a call to passive waiting, but to an active, steadfast faith that change is coming. It's an affirmation that despite temporary darkness, despite furious extinction bursts happening all around us, the ultimate arc of history is still on the right path. As the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. so eloquently reminded us many years ago, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. And so while at times it feels counter to what you're feeling in your heart when you read the daily news cycle, I continue to hold out hope that God is present in our world today and that the Spirit's movement is part of that. And I choose to have faith that change is near. I choose to believe that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it is bending toward justice. Sometimes it helps me to zoom out a little bit from our own timeline. So often we focus on the minutia of our daily lives, right? We're staring at this little screen in our hand that makes us feel like the end is near. We forget to sit up, to take notice, to zoom out a little bit, to see how things have actually been changing for the better. That change, of course, does not happen on its own. It bends because there are people of faith and people of good conscience who are joining God's Spirit to push it, pull it, and sometimes with great effort to embrace humanity in the direction of love and equity. For our marginalized siblings, this means not only offering an affirmation within these walls here at University Mennonite Church, but standing in solidarity with them in the public square as well, advocating for full human rights and inclusion, dismantling prejudices that seek to diminish their worth. Right now, I think it means standing with the migrant worker, with the immigrant, with LGBT people, people with different skin colors, the Muslim, the Buddhist, the Hindu, the Jewish neighbor who feels more vulnerable now than perhaps they did just a few years ago. So, extinction bursts. How do we remain hopeful? Because they do come with a lot of pain. For me, it's about sharing with each other when we see glimmers of hope amid these extinction bursts. So I was thinking back this week. We've been in State College about 11 years, a decade plus. At that time when we arrived, I remember one single downtown church with a visible rainbow flag. Now we've got several, including our humble Mennonite building here. When we arrived, there was a small group of folks gathering with Sarah Malone under the Interfaith Initiative Center County title. Tiny little passionate group that would talk about interfaith conversations. 10 years later, there's a growing network of interfaith clergy who are actively working in our community, speaking out and sparking initiatives like the Interfaith Coalition for Gun Safety, our Rapid Response Network, weekly protests about the violence in Gaza and Ukraine, the movement to shutter the Moshannon facility, and even a network of LGBT clergy advocates who show up and stand up in this region. While it's true that there's a federal movement underway to shut down anything tied to diversity, equity, and inclusion, all that seems to do is remind those of us who work in those spaces how important it is to continue the work and expand our reaches and our efforts. I was flipping through my notes this week and discovered that a theologian I'd been leaning on for this sermon actually is a friend who used to attend Pasadena Mennonite Church with us, perhaps why I resonated with what he had written. He said the prophetic way is twofold, both to face reality honestly, but also to envision and imagine a new way forward. So then, UMC, let us be like Habakkuk, not afraid to voice our anguish at injustice, to cry out, but also steadfast in our faith that justice will prevail. May we recognize these extinction bursts for what they are, the desperate flailings of a dying past. And let us, with every fiber of our being, continue to bend that long arc of the moral universe with God's love, with courage, and most of all, perhaps, with our faithfulness. That there is a promised dawn of full inclusion and liberation for all. God's upside-down kingdom fully and vibrantly realized. It's hard work. It's painful work. But until that day, may we have faith that God's justice and peace is still to come. And perhaps that's what guides our heart as we turn now to the communion table. It's World Communion Sunday after all. This morning, we're joining a global movement to break bread together. We do this while knowing simultaneously that we carry a lament for the state of the world. A world still bearing the weight of injustice and longing for peace. And we are called to love despite all that weighs on us today. So as you're able, I invite you to join me in a confession found in Voices Together, 937, and Mike will have it here up on the screen for us in just a bit. Friends, as we gather to eat the bread and drink the cup, let us respond with a pledge of love. Will you love God before all things in the power of God's living word and join yourself to God's way? Will you love and serve our neighbors and lay down your life through the power of Jesus Christ, who laid down his life for us? Will you support and challenge one another, speak and hear the truth, cease what causes harm to our neighbors, and do good for our enemies? By the grace of God, I will. May the Spirit of God, who calls the church to Christ's supper, give us the grace, the strength, and patience to live this pledge of love. Amen. I invite our communion servers for this morning to join me here up front. Friends, we remember that Jesus called his disciples to join in the Spirit's movement in our world. This was not an easy task. It was threatening to the establishment of his day. His words challenged those in power. His words spoke justice and peace in a context that was fearful, just like we are, for the state of their world. On the night of his arrest, Jesus shared a final meal with his disciples. A meal of breaking bread, bread broken. A meal of sharing the cup, a symbol of a new covenant. A radical act of love and solidarity in the face of betrayal and injustice. And so as we prepare our hearts this morning for the communion table, please join me in prayer. God of justice and love, we come to this table with hearts open and hopeful. We acknowledge the struggles, the injustices, the pain in our world. And yet we give thanks for the glimmers of your presence and the ongoing work of your Spirit. Strengthen us through this communion to be agents of your peace, to stand for the marginalized, and to continue bending the arc of the universe towards your inclusive and liberating kingdom. Amen. University Mennonite Church friends, the table is open and welcome to all. There are crackers if you need a gluten-free alternative. Please take the cup and the bread back to your seat, and we will partake together. I think in the spirit of Pastor Kate, please feel free to nibble on your journey toward that time. Come, the table is open. And so, friends, on the night that he was betrayed again, Jesus broke the bread, shared it with his closest friends, and reminded them, whenever you break of this bread, do so in remembrance of me. And again, on that night, Christ took the cup, poured it out for those gathered, and reminded them, whenever, friends, whenever you drink of this cup, do so in remembrance of me. Friends, we've shared this meal not only in remembrance of Christ, but as a continued act of our faith, a commitment to continuing that work that bends towards God's kingdom. Thank you for sharing this space together. I invite Evelyn and Meredith to lead us in another hymn.
justice and joy. For woman and man, a place at the table, revising the roles, deciding the share, with wisdom and grace divine. simply to be, to work, to speak out, to witness and worship, for everyone born the right to be free. And God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy. Yes, God will delight when we are creators of justice and God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy. Yes, God will delight when we are creators of justice and joy. Oh, come to the table.
Thank you, friends, for sharing this worship space today. We have time now for announcements, and I'm wondering if we could start with any birthday or anniversary celebrations that we have this weekend. Anyone with no birthdays or anniversaries? Nothing on Zoom? All right. Anyone? Oh, Laura.
Leslie Webb, who is on the Zoom, had a birthday this week.
Leslie, we need to sing happy birthday to Leslie. All right. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Leslie. Happy birthday to you. What announcements do we want to share with each other here this week? There are a number of things in the bulletin, but there might be some things that were forgotten or need to be highlighted. Doug in the back there.
The Meeting House Committee is happy to announce the 2 restrooms are finished and completed downstairs, except for handles on the drawers, which were golden, so we're going to get another color for them.
Thank you. That's worth celebrating.
Sue, for the fellowship committee, typically the second Sunday of the month is a fellowship meal. We took a little survey that myself, Laura, and Doug, who are on the committee, won't be here next week. That leaves Heidi and Bart, who's not here. So kind of getting a sense, do we want to have it, cancel it, or is anybody else willing to help out to do it? Any opinion?
Okay, if you want a potluck, you need to get in touch with Sue to make it happen. Is that how we should leave it?
Yeah.
All right. Any other announcements? First Sunday of the month has been our practice for the last several months to extend the time of communion fellowship into the foyer. So stick around, enjoy. There's some delicious snacks at the back there. There's coffee and tea. Continue the conversation about what we have experienced together. Perhaps pull someone aside and share what your heartstring is. Share what you are passionate about as we extend the table into this second hour. Any other announcements here this morning? All right. Any visitors? I think I overlooked that. Anyone visiting us here? Doesn't look like. Oh, yeah.
Hello, Noah Davis. It is wonderful to be back. I think this is the first time since moved back from Montana. I'm living in Massachusetts now, so coming down south for this, but it is a joy to be back in the home congregation. A lot of welling eyes during the service today, so thanks, everybody.
Good to have you here, Noah. All right, friends, let's stand for the benediction. Brothers and sisters, our siblings in Christ, as we go from this place, May we think about our world. May we savor our place in it. And may we seek to join God's work at bending that arc towards justice. Go in peace. Amen.